Chapter 11. Out of the Frying Pan. The flagship Stellaris arrived in the Beta Ursae Majoris system, accompanied by a flash of light that briefly outshone the bright blue star. From any of the windows or viewports on the ship, the view of the human reservation would have been spectacular. Cali and her friends would not have time to enjoy the scenery. Running as fast as they could, Cali and Dak made their way across the ship's perimeter, heading toward the hangar bay. It was going to be their last hope for salvation. Almost 6 kilometers away, Ruto and Teak were forced to take cover as blaster weapons sounded around them. A strike force of battle droids was attempting to storm the hangar. The two Alari were not alone. As soon as the fighting kicked off, a majority of droids under Cali's control had responded to the scene, leading to the ongoing firefight. "Keep your head down!" Teak shouted. "Don't make this easy for him!" Ruto grabbed a blaster pistol off the ground and made sure it was loaded. "How long are we going to wait for Cali and Dak?" she asked. "As long as it takes," Teak replied. "We're not leaving without them." Dak and Cali left their own contingent of droids behind, fearing that Van or Okepi would compromise them even further. Armed with submachine guns, the pair took no chances. Whenever the couple rounded a corner and came face to face with a droid, they opened fire. There was no time to figure out if they were friend or foe. Leaving scattered wreckage in their wake, Cali and Dak made it down to the same deck as the hangar bay. "Have you noticed? None of the droids are shooting at us," Cali panted. "Van must have ordered them to take us alive," Dak suggested. "He's probably trying to beat us to the hangar." Cali skidded to a halt. "I've got an idea," she said. "Hold on." Cali detoured into one of the cyber warfare suites. From his place in the hallway, Dak could see Cali's pupils dilate rapidly as she put her cybernetic implants to work. Cali interfaced with one of the cyber warfare computers and quickly hacked the same code she had written nearly 3 months ago. Cali found the automation settings for both sublight engines and faster-than-light systems. Cali ordered the jump drive to immediately begin charging and programmed it with a destination. "I'm going to put a logic bomb in the code," Cali said. "If they figure out what I did, it won't do them any good. If Van or Okepi tries to undo this, the ship will emergency jump to a completely random location. They'll be lucky to make it to Alaria." "That's harsh," Dak replied. "What if they emerge in an Imperial system?" "I'm not a monster," Cali replied. "It might be random, but the only star systems Helperbot is allowed to choose from are controlled by Alaria. No matter what, if Van triggers the logic bomb, the Stellaris will end up somewhere in friendly territory." "Let's assume they don't find the logic bomb," Dak said. "What happens then? What did you do?" "I forced the jump drive to accept a new command," Cali explained. "As soon as it finishes charging, the Stellaris is going to jump directly to the homeworld. Van and Okepi won't be able to come after us because Alaria will try to give them a hero's welcome. Now let's go." The couple started to flee again, just in time. 2 more battle droids kicked open a door behind them and started turning to face them. Dak whirled around and emptied his magazine into both machines. "Out of ammo!" Dak yelled, throwing down his weapon. "Run!" Dak and Cali fled, following the noise of gunfire down the hallway. They burst into the hangar to find a chaotic scene. The hangar was a war zone. Hundreds of droids were firing at each other with blaster rifles. Shuttlecraft and starfighters alike were engulfed in flames, filling the whole space with a nightmarish red and orange light. Dense black smoke formed a layer just below the ceiling, darkening the hangar to the point where Cali felt she needed a flashlight. "Here! We're over here!" Ruto screamed above the din of gunfire. Cali and Dak could see an Imperial shuttle at the far end of the hangar, defended by the last of the droids Cali hacked at the beginning of this saga. "Run!" Dak shouted. Cali and Dak sprinted as fast as their legs could carry them. Ruto threw down her own weapon and boarded the shuttle. Droids on both sides sprang into action. Van's machines lowered their weapons and moved toward Cali, reaching out to grab her before being gunned down by Cali's droids. Sparks and debris rained down from the ceiling. Cali and Dak reached the shuttle and jumped over a small barricade, joining their comrade. "Ruto's spooling up the engines," Teak told them. "Go, I'll cover." The trio of Alari scrambled aboard the shuttle. Ruto called out from the cockpit. "Everyone hold on! This is going to be a rough ride!" "Just mow down any droids in front of you!" Cali yelled. "We don't need them anymore!" With a great lurch, the shuttle rose into the air and started orienting itself toward the hangar doors. "Blow through! Blow through!" Dak ordered. Ruto pinned the throttle and the shuttle sped forward, smashing through the hangar doors and escaping into open space. At once, alarms sounded in the cockpit. "They're tracking us!" Ruto reported. "They're powering up a tractor beam." "Ha! Love to see 'em try!" Cali laughed from the passenger area. "I disabled it! Get us to the human starbase, Ruto! Quick!" The shuttle rocketed forward, putting as much distance between itself and the Stellaris as possible. The human starbase was visible, orbiting the star at a very high altitude. "I can see smoke and flames coming from part of the starbase," Ruto said. "Cali, do you know where your friend was supposed to meet us?" "The anchorage," Cali reported. "That's where he's waiting with our shuttle." "Right, taking us in," Ruto replied. "Oh, Stellaris is hailing us." Behind the escaping vessel, the flagship Stellaris started to turn and give chase. Ruto flipped the switch on the console, and two voices were piped over the radio. "Dakara, this behavior is inexcusable!" Van Beeren shouted over the radio. "Bring that shuttle back here right now!" "None of you have any idea of the consequences that will result from this," Okepi yelled. "When you get to Alaria, all hell will be waiting for you." As they spoke, a series of alarms suddenly went off in Cali's head. Her cybernetic implants abruptly started to work overtime as they received transmissions from the ship. "My friends, say goodbye to Van and Okepi," Cali declared. "They're about to go... well, I don't know where they're gonna go, and I don't care. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The radio signal suddenly went dead. At the same moment, the Stellaris vanished in a spectacular flash of light. Blinking her eyes rapidly, it took several moments for Ruto to realize the flagship Stellaris was gone. Moments later, the Stellaris reappeared in a different star system. On the bridge, Okepi and Van dropped their jaws in terror. "Helper bot!" Okepi roared. "Recharge the jump drive! Get us back to Arcadia now!" "I'm sorry, pal, but I really can't do that," Helperbot replied. "Warships from the Alari Armed Forces are already moving in our direction, and they are signaling their intent to board us. They seem to be transmitting manifesti recognition codes, of which I have none. You guys wouldn't happen to have the codes I need, do ya? Because right now would be a really good time to say so." Meanwhile, Ruto guided her shuttlecraft toward the human starbase at Beta Ursay. "Hey guys," Ruto called to the others. "The space station is broadcasting 5 sets of recognition codes. Imperial, Alari, Manifesti, Into, and Human. I honestly can't tell you who's controlling it right now. Sensors are picking up gunfire on all decks." "We're not going to stay long," Cali replied. "We're just going to stay long enough for AJ to give us that shuttle, and we're going to disappear someplace the Imperials and AAF can't find us. Straight down to Arcadia. AJ and his family know some places we can lay low." So, which recognition codes should we fly with?" Ruto replied. "We're flying an Imperial shuttle," Cali said. "Send them an Imperial code. If the Holy Favarian Empire, or Galactic Imperium, or whatever the hell they're calling themselves right now, is still on the station, then they'll let us aboard. Don't forget, all 4 of us are still officers in the Imperial military. We are MIA at the moment, so the worst they'll do is try to detain us." "Good point," Teak chimed in. "When we get aboard, we'll need to stay on our toes." Ruto transmitted the Imperial recognition code and was pleasantly surprised to see one of the bay doors at the anchorage open at once. "Hold tight, everyone," she said. "We're landing." Beta Ursay Majoris Station, often just shortened to Beta Ursay, officially belongs to the government of Arcadia and Concord. But when Cali and her team landed in the anchorage, It was hard to believe any single entity controlled it. Numerous flags hung from the ceiling while others lay on the floor. The hangar was a scene of devastation. Several starships were shattered into bits, while larger vessels had been blown open. Dozens of battle droids, broken and battered, lay strewn about. Among them were a handful of bodies: Favarian, Alari, Skildari, and human. Dak was alarmed by the lack of station crew. "There's no one here," Dak said. "I don't like this." Cali looked around for a sign. "Neither do I," she admitted. "Let's find AJ's ship and get the hell out of here. That sign says we're in Docking Bay 94. Every time I visited this station when I was younger, AJ would always set down in 99. Everyone, follow me through this door." Leaving the shuttle behind, the 4 Alari crossed the hangar, following Cali's lead. Above them, a disturbing noise reverberated through the door. "Gunfire, one deck below us," Dak said. "The station is contested." "Well then, let's get out of here before we find out who's winning the fight," Teak replied. The foursome scrambled, pushing out of the wrecked hangar and into a corridor. The interior of Beta Ursay Station is designed to resemble a super-modern city, complete with high-rise structures that seem to just merge into the station structures above. The pseudo-metropolis extended throughout the interior of the station, with roadways, railroad lines, and monorail networks interconnecting the void-born city. Cali, Ruto, Teak, and Dak came onto one of these pedestrian roadways and were immediately hit by a press of people. Panicked human, Alari, and Favarian civilians were trying to escape from the battle raging on other parts of the station. The refugees were carrying as many possessions on their backs as they could, while small children rode atop the adults. In a stroke of good luck, Cali realized the crowd was fleeing in exactly the direction she wanted to go. "There are a few ships left in Docking Bay 99, a human woman screamed. "Let's go!" "Follow the crowd," Cali instructed. "Go with them." The team moved with the crowd, allowing the press to push them toward Docking Bay 99. Once the entrance was in sight, Cali started calling out, "AJ! AJ, can you see us?" And to the delight of Dak, Ruto, and Teak, a pair of humans standing in the archway suddenly jumped at the sound of Cali's voice. 2 men stood on a crate to look over the crowd, spotted Cali, and waved. "There they are!" Cali shouted to her friends. "That's Robinson on the left and Moriarty on the right. They're going to be our ride out of here." But the moment of elation was brought to a sudden and terrifying end. A metal hand suddenly closed on Cali's shoulder. Loud screams told her the same thing had just occurred to Ruto, Teak, and Dak. Cali looked up and into the eyes of a droid. The droid pressed its weapon into Cali's back and said, "Cali Dakara, you are under arrest on charges of treason against the Holy Favarian Empire."